What up, y'all? How y'all doing, man? What the word, what the lick is, what the score is, what the play is, man. First thing first, man. I want y'all to bless this house. Like and subscribe to my channel and my video. First and foremost, bless this house. So, somebody asked me the other day, like, man, how the hell was your life 15 years of doing prison time? What was like, what's up with that? Why you should talk about that more? People, you know what I'm saying? Let people know how that was and how you led up to where you at right now. And I said, you know what, that's a good idea. Because prison is a big part of where I am today. I got a lot of that of my principles and a lot of the stuff that I accomplished. It started in DOC. So, and I have to go all the way back. I got to go all the way back. I caught my first case when I was 11 years old, man. I got into a fight with this kid. He was a little bigger than me, and I ended up stabbing him. You know what I'm saying? Make a long story short, you know what I'm saying? He was getting the best of me, but at the same time, though, it ain't over till it's over. And we was end up in this fighting in his house. It started outside, but I chased him into his apartment that he ran in and ended up grabbing a knife. Anyway, so it started with that. And I was on probation. I really was bad, but I was bad, but I was like, you know what I'm saying? That was the beginning of the crime stuff. I had ended up getting put on probation. Fast forward to my adult, all my cases came from drugs. You know what I'm saying? I was hustling. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know I was getting some money, you know what I'm talking about. You know, I got a couple other things on my background, but mostly is, you know what I'm saying, drugs. All public information, you can go look. But I'm gonna say the biggest turning point for me in DOC was when I had ended up getting 8 years. In Illinois, you gotta do half your time. So that 8, cut that in half to do 4. And at the time, Illinois was giving out good time. You was getting 6 months good time in the door. As soon as you get through orientation, or what we call receiving, most of the time, as soon as you get to your joint, you was getting your 6 months. So out of that 8 years, I ended up doing 3.5. Now, me trying to be nickel slick, because most of the time in Illinois, when you on parole and you catch a new case, they'll send your ass somewhere fucked up to, like, we got joints like Lawrenceville, Pinckneyville, Mount Sterling. What's another one? Anyway, them 3 joints right there, you trying to avoid them 3. Pinckneyville, Lawrenceville, and Mount Sterling. Because them joints is like 23-1. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you get an hour a day out. That's it. They run them joints like SIG. So a lot of times, man, when you're on parole, they try to teach you a lesson. They like, oh yeah, you want to fuck up? You out fucking up still? Okay, send your ass to motherfucking fucked up joint. But a way out of it is to claim an addict in receiving. Cause in receiving, man, you go through. That's the process. The part they determine on where you finna go, what joint you gonna do the most of your time, and all that shit. Receiving is like the beginning of your bit. Once you leave the county, you take your time, or whatever you get found guilty, whatever, you go to receive it, which is in Joliet. It's right outside Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Place called NRC. Northern Reception Center. They got a Southern Reception Center too. It's down in motherfucking, I think, Graham or one of them joints in Southern Illinois. So down there, you gotta you go through all these different people. You go see. It's a process. You go see all these different people, fingerprints. Psych, social doctor, dentist. You see all these motherfuckers before they put you in this motherfucking tomb. I'm gonna get to that later. But you see a drug task, like a drug task person too, to determine if you need some help while you locked up. And Illinois got 2 joints. At the time, they had 2 main joints that was like drug program joints, and they low security level joints. But you have to let them know you use. You know what I'm saying? Or you use on something in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of people be avoiding doing that because you get put on a wait list. And in NRC, man, they put you, that's the worst part of your bit. You know what I'm saying? Because you be in a fucking cell from anywhere from 3 weeks. I've been that motherfucker 2 months. Some motherfuckers be there for, man, what? Please don't get me started. You don't got access to nothing. That's been a time when I was down there, you couldn't order commissary, you couldn't do shit, man. They gave your ass that bogus ass state toothpaste, that state bar soap, fucking comb, and they put you in that bitch, and they gave you basically Lunchables for 2 weeks. So, but anyway, when you see the drug counselor dude, you let them know, man, you use. And they'll ask you, okay, would you want to go to a drug joint, a drug rehabilitation joint? I'm like, I know if I get to one of them joints, I won't be in one of them joints that's 23-1 locked down all day. So this came out to be a blessing. Me trying to be nickel slick, it ended up being a blessing in disguise. I'm gonna tell you why. Cause I end up going to one of them joints. It's called Southwestern. It's in fucking East St. Louis, Illinois. You can see St. Louis, you can see the arch from the yard. You know what I'm saying? I end up getting sent to that joint. But I had to sit in NRC for 2 months. You know what I'm saying? I was in that motherfucker for 2 months behind that motherfucker door, man, stuck. And they had me by a shower on the 3rd floor. Everybody know. And from Illinois. And been in prison. You don't want to be on the 3rd floor in NRC. Especially by the shower because you don't see nothing. You don't see nothing. Only thing you gonna see is a motherfucking inmate bringing you your tray. You don't see shit. You don't even got access to the nurses walking past. You know, nigga want to see something. Boy, I was up there for 2 months. But I ended up going to Southwestern. Now, how I got down there was I told the drug counselor in NRC that I I smoke weed, drink heavy, and I pop ecstasy. Now, knowing ecstasy is an amphetamine. I'm not knowing all this at the time. You know what I'm saying? I just know it's an upper. But I ain't really know the technical term for it. You know what I'm saying? It's an amphetamine. So, this particular drug joint got extra funding for methamphetamine because it was a real big methamphetamine epidemic in Southern Illinois. So, the state got some federal money to run these fucking meth programs to get motherfuckers off of this shit. And that's, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is. So, by me saying out my own mouth admitting to doing ecstasy, which is an amphetamine, they put me in the house with all the people that had amphetamine charges and whoever was on using amphetamine. And quite naturally, meth people was like, in Illinois, white guys from down there, Granite City, selling parts of Illinois like fucking Cairo, Harrisburg, like down there. Country as hell, rural, borderline, racist as fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was tough. This way had me at. I'm going this, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, cause when I got there, I'm in receiving this shit, you know what I'm saying? And they come and getting all us, they moving us. Like, okay, they let you know what housing you going to. And for some reason, I'm like one of the last motherfuckers to get moved. And I'm telling the dude, like, it's a black dude. He had played a big, intricate part in who I am today. You know what I'm saying? His name was Mr. Tommy Anderson. I call him TA. He was a counselor in one house. You know what I'm saying? Which is where the meth unit was. So all the amphetamine people was one house. Man, I get over there, he come get me. Like, man, he said, oh yeah. He like, man, I asked him, like, man, why I ain't moved yet? He like, what's your name? Get my name and shit. He said, oh, this Milk. He funny nigga. He from out south. From the Woodline area. You know what I'm saying? Stand up nigga. Done a couple bits. You know what I'm saying? Was on drugs and shit, but he cleaned his life up. And so he was very relatable, especially to me because he was one of the guys too. Low key. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep that between us. Like, he was official ass nigga. He had been in the trenches. Like, he was on both sides. He was turned to addict. He was a thug nigga. Got on drugs because everybody knowing that wave in the 80s and shit. Like, man, that was crack cocaine was like one of them things. It just devastated motherfuckers. He ended up getting jammed up in that shit. But he got clean and shit. And was working in this prison as a drug counselor. All the way down in fucking East St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? He was still living in Chicago as well. Still had shit going on in the city. So, he telling me like, man, you told them people that you did amphetamines. And I was like, man, I ain't never did no motherfucking meth before. You know what I'm saying? I'm standing on it. I'm like, man, I don't even know what meth look like. You know what I'm saying? My slow ass. He like, yeah, but you said ecstasy. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's different. He like, no, it's not. it's in the same group of it's in amphetamine. So you in the right spot. So I'm like, damn. He said, only thing is we only got no beds. So you gotta fucking you gotta wait. So I had to wait a couple more days. When he came and got me, he put me in the housing unit. Now the housing unit predominantly white. It's probably like 125 of us. And fucking 25 of us is black. The other 100 is all motherfucking on meth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Meth motherfuckers country as hell, man. This is when I first found out about the term meth mouth. Because, and that's how I realized that shit destroys your body. Like, meth fuck your body up. It's a drug. It's a nasty ass drug, and it's a very addicting drug. And I'm gonna tell you how I know. I'm getting into all this shit and break this shit down. This is why. So anyway, I'm in the housing unit. In this curriculum that they teach us, keep in mind it's a drug counsel, it's a drug program. So, but it's a behavior modification program first. That's the curriculum that they teach it. Behavior modification first. And what that means is they addressing not the actual use of drugs or your addiction behavior, but the root of it. What starts it? Behavior, there are some behaviors that you do that you probably don't even know you do it. You're not even conscious of it that you do it. That leads to addiction. And it don't even matter if it's not necessarily tied just to drug use. It could be a lifestyle addiction too, which is worse than fucking drugs sometimes. And I'm gonna get into that. And I didn't know nothing about this. TA was hands-on in this with me. So by me being in this fucking program, I'm not in no joint that's locked down 23-1. But to be in this program, you gotta participate. Ain't no fucking, you know what I'm saying? That's where that term fake to make it and all that shit, man. I learned all that shit down there. Because in order to stay there, man, your ass had to participate. You had to be like, when we did our groups and shit, man, I was one of them motherfuckers who was outspoken. Like, I always been like that. Like, I had something to say. My experience is, like, I was really down there trying to work that program because I learned early on that motherfucking place make you pay attention to yours. It forces you to look at yourself. And I'm not the type to live a fucking lie. Like, that ain't never been my style. Like, I always been honest with myself. So that program was very, very hands-on in that. That's what it's about. It make you take a look on the inside. Like, ain't no point of figure. It's big on accountability. That's basically what the whole program was like. Basically, you're gonna make some mistakes, but Nick, don't try to act like you ain't do that. Address that. You know what I'm saying? Get on top of that with a positive attitude is what one of the terms we used to use all the time. So this is what's going on in this housing unit. So I'm participating and I'm picking up on things. And I'm like, damn, because I always wanted to be the best version of me. So in this particular drug program, they had, in this housing unit, each program had 7 units in the program. 1 unit cleaned up, 1 unit dealt with paperwork, 1 unit dealt with, like, each unit had something. I can't remember all of them. And then there was 1 person over the whole unit that was out of the inmates. He was the senior coordinator. That person was direct line to staff, meaning the drug counselors, the counselors who run that housing unit, people on the outside that come in and work. Keep in mind, it's a drug, and DOC is there too, but DOC used to sit back and kind of let the drug program govern itself. DOC really didn't come in until less, like, we were just the drug people, the counselors and shit couldn't handle it, or we couldn't handle it ourselves because they let us kind of govern ourselves. That was another thing about this joint. They sat back. They like, man, because you had the right motherfuckers up and shit. If you didn't know the program like I did, I know that motherfucking program because it said in the program you could give a verbal. So that was part of my participation, man. I can tell you, I can kick knowledge to you on a verbal side, and it's just the same as a write-up. I ain't have to write you up, and that was one of the things a lot of people didn't understand. A lot of the guys would just be there hiding out, you know what I'm saying? Showing up to groups, not participating. Ain't doing nothing, ain't writing nothing, ain't doing shit. You know what I'm saying? Barely doing the stuff they supposed to be doing. But I was hands-on. And I always was like one of the ones that spoke out. So in this particular moment, there's a senior coordinator. At the time, he's a white guy. He's going home. Now, Tommy Anderson, TA, the counselor, he, keep in mind, I done been down here probably like, out of my 3.5 years, I probably was down there probably like 2.5. So I probably was there probably like a year already. It's only a year-long program. I done did everything I needed to do. I done leveled up in this program. It's 4 levels, phases. I made it to phase 4. Once this phase 4, they're supposed to transfer you to a minimum facility. But they lose their funding if they lose beds. So by me being in that meth unit, transferring was like, no, none of us leave. Because we kept the beds full. They needed to have the beds full to get the federal funding. So what they did was they just gave me a slot above in the program where I didn't have to do no groups or nothing like that because I did the program already. I had access to the gym whenever I wanted to, because I knew the program. But one thing I did have to do, I had to facilitate a group. Meaning I would have to go in and run a group like a counselor would. This is where I built my communication skills and my stage presence and all this stuff. That's why I know I can pop my shit. I don't have prime talk because you got to keep in mind, I had to talk in front of these groups of white motherfuckers in Southern Illinois who kind of racially challenged when it comes to people. Because you got to think, they don't grow up around black people. You know what I'm saying? They grew up around what they grew up around. You know what I'm talking about? So all they know is like Chicago this. All they do is gang violence, you know what I'm saying? They just stereotyped us. And I'm not even from Chicago. They just know I'm from the north. I'm from up north, you know what I'm saying? They kind of stereotyped us and they had me in their joint. So these are the people that I'm having to entertain. Like these are guys and I'm standing up in front of these groups all the time talking to. And to get that respect and to gain their attention, man, you had to know what you was talking about. You had to know your shit and it had to hit different. And how I was used to touch these fellas was I used to be truthful to the down to the bone, essence all the way, and I never showed no favoritism. Like just because the blacks was the minority, we wasn't that deep. And most of the time, most prisons and majority of that prison, blacks was everywhere. In all the joints in Illinois, black people the majority of the joints, because all the inmates, we come from northern Chicago area. Ain't nothing but blacks, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what's going on. Them dreadhead motherfuckers, them motherfuckers I did my bits with all my time. I grew up around them same killers that was on the streets of Chicago. Because 80% of the joints in Illinois are people from Chicago. All the other joints is come from little towns, like all the prisons, little bitty towns, Rockford, all them little bitty, ain't nobody getting in trouble out there. Population too low. There's over 2 million people in Cook County coming up out of there. So them was the guys I was like, all the white guys, but man, it took a lot, man. It's a lot, man. I was called niggas, and then y'all gotta remember this around the time Obama was running for office for his first term. So I was down there in the midst of all that. It was just real racial tension, man, and it just took somebody solid to keep that house together, because it was like to the point where it was gonna be a race riot down there, like really, like it was, because it was a dorm setting. Picture this. Let me paint a picture for you. It's a dorm setting. It's 100 people down. It's 125 guys in the dorm. I mean, in the house. And it might be, whatever, it might be 5, 6 dorms. And each dorm might got 20, 30 people in them. If it's only 25 blacks, that means it's 1 or 2 black people on the dorm. And the rest white guys and Mexicans or whatever. So, man, you already know motherfuckers always draw off numbers. But when you gonna give a fuck, you know what I'm saying, man? Fuck all that. It is what it is, man. We was about to shake that bitch. We ain't getting no fuck, because I already knew only a handful of them knucklehead motherfuckers was gonna do something anyway. You know what I'm saying? It always be like that. And like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get socked in their shit. So I was willing to, goddamn it, for that, especially that race shit, man, I was getting called. I heard somebody else get called a nigga. I slapped the fuck out of the motherfucker. Like, man, what the fuck, man? This type of shit was going on down there. And I kept telling Tommy, TA, like, man, y'all need to have a sit down with this housing unit, man, as a whole, man, and address this racial shit. Because when we go back there in them dorms, all this brother program, we all is one shit, that shit go out the window. You know what I'm saying? They do that shit up front in front of y'all because they have to. Don't nobody want to get jammed up and lose their good time and all that shit. Because down in that joint, man, you was getting good time for being down there if you was eligible for it. I wasn't. I had been to the joint too many times, and my case was a class X. which like is one of the worst hates you can have in Illinois besides a murder. So, you know what I'm saying? Fuck all that. I was standing on what I believed in. I was willing to get carried out that motherfucker. Little ass me. I ain't give a fuck, but I was just little. I was one of them niggas though. It ain't about who the biggest, it's about who the smartest. It's always been like that in the world. That's why you see most of the gang cheese, especially in Illinois, they look guys. Short guys. They thinkers. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about who the biggest. It's about who the smartest. You know what I'm talking about? And I always been a thinker. I like to think so anyway. So this is what ended up happening. TA needed the guy who was running the housing unit, that was who was the senior coordinator over us as the unit, as the house. He went home. Somebody had to take his spot. And Tommy, I'm not knowing that they had already had their eye on me taking over the housing unit. And you know me, man, I think I had probably like a year and a half left. I'm short. That's short. I'm like, man, fuck that shit. I'm finna ride the rest of my little time out. Work out, eat, stay the fuck out the way, man. Stay away from me, motherfuckers, because I had already been bumping heads with motherfuckers from the race shit. Keep in mind, keep telling y'all. So I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? We done almost got towed that motherfucker up plenty of times. It was times, man, motherfucker, hands had got put on people. You gotta keep in mind, we back there in them dorms. In the dorm setup, it was like each dorm, the bunks was along the walls. So it was like a perfect little ring. Like motherfuckers would sit in their bunks and just watch motherfuckers get it in. Like it sound like a basketball game. You know how the floor be squeaking with your shoes. That's how it is, motherfuckers out there. You know what I'm saying? You had to know what you was doing, man. I'm out there running 5-6 miles, lifting weights. I'm there, man, I with some motherfucking wood. I had to put motherfuckers on their pockets a couple times. And like I said, I always represented my town well in the DOC. And any motherfucking vouch. I don't sit here and lie. Ask, check my shit, check my file. Motherfuckers will tell you, man. I ain't saying I ain't never took no L's. But shit, I made us look good, man. I ain't never ducked no smoke. Goddamn it, I've always stood on business. I always respected myself and everything around me. And I was always juiced up in the joint. Walked around like this, jewelry on and shit, newest shoes, you know what I'm saying? We couldn't have these chains, but like shit like this, man, I was walking around with something like this on in the joint. Not the diamonds in it though, just the piece and the chains and shit like, hell yeah, fuck you man. Going to visit, watches and shit on, jewelry and shit, like cologne and shit, all but it's about how you move. Just how niggas was getting phones and getting pussy and shit like that. Yeah, females recognize who bosses is. You gotta think, they be around us more than they be at home. Niggas going out there lifting everything on the yard, then they come walking through the day room, tank top on. I'm gonna run the reason why that joint right now, you gotta put tank tops on in that joint. Because I used to sit in the day room, cocky to the motherfucker. Y'all know I don't come check my pay, look at my shit. I ain't capping. Cocky, and I'm sitting that bitch cocky. Then I had a job in the office. I was on line. The group I was in was called what the fuck name that communications. Communications means I'm handling all the paperwork for inmates coming in, leaving, people who got rolled up, all that shit. I had to be in the office. I sat amongst staff, and majority of the staff was females. These counselors was female. We probably had like 4 dudes. The other 9 or 10 was like girls. Some of them was nice looking, some of them was older, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But I was amongst that shit every day, you know what I'm saying? I'm coming through that bitch, smelling good, sitting down, jewelry on. I'm looking different than everybody. I'm smart, I'm talking good, and I'm in a position of power per se because I'm amongst staff all day. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all know I was getting took care of. And I end up getting cool with a lady, you know what I'm saying? And she ended up getting fired on the strength that they felt like it was something going on between me and her. It used to be, I used to work with her behind closed doors, so now the door gotta stay open, no tank tops on in the day room, all that old shit. That shit started from me, man. I was putting pressure down, man. I had motherfuckers in that bitch really, and I wasn't the only one. Keep in mind, I wasn't the only one. I ain't finna see a cat, man. I was in SEG with a nigga who, goddamn it, had one of the staff cuffed. Like, this is what was going on. They had some young women fresh out of school come be amongst us like that in this open ass joint. Fuck you think gonna happen? So TA begged. He said, man, he's like, man, look, man, I need you to be senior coordinator. And I'm like, man, TA, man, I'm straight, because there was a dude, the fucking staff member that was over one house at this particular time. I can't remember his damn name, but I respect him now. his last name, I can't think of his name. Man, I'm gonna have to call TA and get references of it because he gonna vouch. He was a dude that knew addiction like the back of his hand. Like he was like, man, they wrote books about this dude. Like dude was like top flight addiction specialist. Like, man, he came in and he challenged everything. Man, we was just there too comfortable. He didn't like that shit, man. He came in, he disrupted everything. And I understood why he was doing it. Because addiction it's a thing, a norm. You get comfortable like in your comfort zone. You don't want to get too comfortable. And we was too comfortable down there. We had guys had figured out a system. Niggas was being slick. Motherfuckers was doing like it was just too. He seen it. He was like, man, these motherfuckers getting away with murder. And Stab wasn't standing on that shit. We was outsmarting them because it required work. And then no motherfucker really want to do no work because they weren't really getting paid that much. That job didn't really pay much. We had to really want to do that job. It's about helping people. You had to really want to help people. That job, public service job, know what I'm saying? Social service job, they don't really pay much. Unless, you know what I'm saying? You got to have a really top slot and got some years in it. That's just got to be something you want to do because it's based on, like, helping people. You know what I'm saying? Like, community outreach and all that old shit. Like, that drug addiction, like, that social services work, that shit don't pay nothing. You got to be a passion of yours. So, and that man, he had a passion for that shit. Dude, like, he was top flight when it came to that addiction shit, man. I'm talking about, man, then nobody like him. And then for me to be the senior coordinator, I had to really be hands-on with him because the lines of communication went from staff, it went from him. He was a senior leader. He was a senior coordinator of staff over 1 hour. That means he was the number one staff member over the staff and over the inmates in the group, in the house. I just came in is like the senior coordinator over the inmates. So the inmates couldn't just go to him with their problem. They had to go first through their department head. That's what another thing, like each fucking, so what I was over those 7 departments I was telling y'all about earlier. And each one of those departments had a leader over it. And each one of those leaders had a department head up under them. And then it was all the other little pieces everybody else had. Each of those 7 groups had something different going on. I really can't get into the details of it, but it was structured as fuck. And it was like you had to use each part of the group as a whole in the community, as we called it. Man, that shit worked, man, and it developed structured everything. It taught me how to communicate because you gotta learn how to deal with people. You gotta learn how to communicate. You gotta learn how to show empathy. You gotta learn how to be passionate, patient. You know what I'm saying? You gotta learn how to communicate, like with the words you saying, like it has to make sense. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be, and then you gotta be a little witty. You gotta have a little charisma too. Because at times I had to make light of some situations. I had to use a little comedy. Like I had to outthink my people that I was dealing with because people was dealing with shit. And everybody know meth addicts, that shit stay in your system for a long time. Like them guys was dealing with withdrawal, not even knowing they was dealing with withdrawal for a long period of time. It wasn't like heroin when you get sick and then you over the sickness. Like that shit stay in their system. And you gotta keep thinking about they using lye and anhydrous, all type of shit, some top flight chemicals. This is why it beat their body up the way it do. And I didn't really want to deal with that shit, man, because this is what I had to be hands-on with. I was just trying to hide out for my last little 6 months. But I like a challenge. And TA, I love you today for that, man, because he challenged me, man. He basically was like picking at me, like letting me know, like, man, your ass, you soft as hell, you ducking this shit, like, woo, woo. And then what really, really made me do it was when he said, fine, somebody gonna do it. You gotta follow behind somebody. You gonna let one of them do it? That's who you gonna be following behind when I got the thinking like that? Because the last dude, man, took us down. We was losing like a lot of privilege and shit. Like he wasn't running that motherfucker right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't like how he was doing shit. Like I ain't like how nothing was going. I was cool though because the department I was working in, I was around the staff and the females. So no matter what happened, I'm still gonna get my action, but it wasn't about just me. And that was another thing too. It taught me to quit fucking being selfish because I had to represent not just myself, but the group, all us inmates as one. You know what I'm saying? And I had to be a leader of men, and which is the most important role that I learned from that, along with learning how to communicate and standing up in front of a group of people, man, I've had people cry tears from my words, man. I had guys just, I got their respect because I was being blunt. I did not, and all that teaching that they was taught from the program that they taught me, I was a perfect candidate to run that program, to be the coordinator, because I knew the program front to back, because I was down there for a year and I participated in it and I took it serious, and I passed with flying colors. Also, here's another little asterisk too. Let me add that in. They had a drug program down there to be an addiction counselor, to be almost like a CADC, be the same thing that those people that was working there do. I end up getting in that certification and I passed. I passed with the highest grade. Me and the other dude had a 77. I think you get out of 100 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Out of my class that took that test that given time, me and another dude had the highest score. And my teacher even knew it. She told me, she like, man, I knew you wasn't going to have a hard time. You know what I'm talking about? So I knew addiction. I took the same test, the certification that they had to take. It was some of them that was working there on a probationary period that didn't even take the certification yet, that had it coming up. And they used to approach me when they found that I passed, and I passed well. They was like, man, what's on the test? Like, how are the answers? And I was just like, it felt good to know, like, damn, I know more than y'all do. And I used to hold groups too. So I know addiction. And I know all that shit, man. It start with the behavior. It's a behavior thing first. You know what I'm saying? I'm addressing behaviors. And I don't let shit slide. I hold motherfuckers accountable. And one thing about addiction, man, it's aggressive. You can't be assertive with that shit. You can't be, you know what I'm saying? You definitely can't be passive, not even passive aggressive with that shit, man. You gotta be head on with that shit. That shit ain't nothing to play with, man. I'm attacking motherfuckers. Man, we used to do groups, man. Motherfuckers sit down like they had this shit called an encounter, where you sit in a circle. A motherfucker write you up. This is where all the fights used to start from. Because niggas used to be using it for the wrong shit. Like, niggas would sit back and be on some hate shit and see you do something like go in somebody else's dorm when you ain't supposed to be in it and write you up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing the write-ups because I work in communication. I write the schedule and shit up like, oh, so-and-so got wrote up. Who wrote it? Oh, he wrote it. Okay. So now, the encounter that day, on the counter day, motherfucker be sitting down and then they facing each other, and it's 7 people in a circle. Now, the person who wrote the shit, he get to address you first. You gotta sit there, your hands in your lap, and just listen to this shit. You know, motherfuckers, man, niggas used to be attacking motherfuckers' character. Like, that's what it mainly wanted you today, was attacking motherfuckers' character. Man, motherfuckers get in, sit in that chair and be like, man, you a cold dope fiend. You doing some shame dope fiend shit you been doing on the street. You went in that motherfucker dorm, that's the same as you being on that block out west getting dope, buying jabs. Yeah, nigga, you the same up, and then all this dirty line start coming out. And that's just coming from that person. Now them 7 people in that circle, now they gonna ask, now do anybody else want to get some feedback? Now here comes 7 more motherfuckers, sit down and just get on your ass, talk crazy. Then they be having audacity to ask, because the rest of the group sitting out there too, it's an audience. They asked them, do anybody else got some feedback from Mr. Digsmute? Man, motherfuckers, here comes 7 more motherfuckers. I'm like, man, what? What's the fuck? Who ain't that much to say about me in the world? And then most motherfuckers didn't really have nothing positive to say. They sit down, because you can say whatever you want. You can say something to motivate that person. Most motherfuckers used to be attacking, because they was white guys from Southern Illinois. They hated black guys. You got motherfuckers in the joint walking around. Niggas from out, niggas up north, motherfuckers got money. Family members got money and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's jobs up north. Southern Illinois, only jobs is the prisons. You know what I'm talking about? So we got bad niggas going to grocery. Niggas got Santa Claus back come from commissary. Niggas got new shoes on, Air Force Ones. Niggas phone call. Niggas stand on the jack. Like, man, motherfuckers was like it was just a lot of hate, man. We just charismatic, like black motherfuckers. Like, come on, man, y'all know what the fuck the play is. Them motherfuckers hillbillies. I hate to say it, they was country ass rural motherfuckers. Some I had got jammed with a lot of them. Some good guys was down there. Don't get me wrong. The majority of the motherfuckers was like, they didn't like us. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Like I say, during that time, it was Obama, like, I ended up bringing the house together, though. You know what I'm saying? I ended up bringing the house together. So, to say all this story, this whole thing was about how prison helped me in my journey that I'm on right now since I've been out. This is how. Because not doing that bit taught me the whole focus of, like, learning how to communicate because I had to be the senior coordinator. Man, I wrote my first rap down there. Yeah. That motherfucking rap that I got, that I wrote to that Meek Mill, that Dreams and Nightmares, man, I wrote that down there and I performed that. Did I perform that one? Nah, I ain't performed that, but I had music down there. I performed in front of these white guys, them same the motherfuckers that, and got their attention. Had by second verse, had motherfuckers clapping and singing along to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's a tough crowd. That's a tough crowd to get respect from and to get, you know what I'm saying, recognition from. Like motherfuckers used to pull up on me like, man, bro, I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I know it's tough. I know we ain't the easiest motherfuckers to get along with. Like, and I understood, man, guys is away from their family, away from their girls and shit, doing time. Motherfuckers still had calendars left. The last thing they want to do is program and do this motherfucking group shit. I get it. I was one of the ones. I hated that shit, man. I hated it. But I knew the alternative was either me being there, being out my cell, because there wasn't no cell. That was a dorm joint. You know what I'm saying? Or being in the motherfucker 23-1 somewhere. And out of that joint, man, you got to think, I was able to get my certification for drug use, drug counseling. You know what I'm saying? I was the strongest I ever been down there. I had a fucking 405 deadlift, a fucking 385 squat in the pocket, had a 215 military press, a 325 bench. Like, man, I was strong as fuck down there. Hooping, could run miles. My body was in the best shape that I ever been. Like, you gotta keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? Then most importantly, man, I learned paperwork skills. I had got my small business administration down there. I left that motherfucker with fucking, I believe it was like over 70 transferable credits to go to college. Like, man, because that's what I did all my time in the joint, man. I always went to school. I never worked no job until my last bit, because I had got all the school and everything they offered, I had it already from my previous bit. I tell you, my dumb ass was gone. 15 years, and it took me a long time, man. But I say the timing is everything, because I had to go through that shit, man. I got so much shit to talk about because of that. You know what I'm saying? It forced me to read different things. It opened my eyes to a lot of different things, because I ran into certain teachers that I had used to challenge me. I had a teacher, man. He was from he was from DC, dreadhead. He taught U.S. government, and he taught speech, public speaking. That's where I got that from. You know what I'm saying? I took a speech class. I'm telling you, man, everything I did was prepping me. Man, I took stockbroking classes now. I took some psychology. Man, I got all that psych and social shit, bro. I got all that shit. Man, intro, religion, like, liberal, man, all the liberal arts classes, man, I got that shit, man. I pull my transcripts up and show you, like, and I remember a lot of that shit, like, man, bro, philosophy and all, I understand the philosophy and psychology and all that, like, of human beings. And I was getting hands-on training from being in DOC, because when you in a joint, you can't get away from nobody, man, especially in a dorm setting. This is why a lot of people didn't go to the drug joints too, because they was dorm settings. Most people like to be in a 2-man cell. You got your privacy. You know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, your cellie gonna either have a job or he gonna go to school. And if you smart, you will get your shit set up around your cellie. So y'all ain't never in a cell together. Y'all always gone. You got the cell to yourself. That's how most motherfuckers bit. But in order for you to get to one of them, I didn't really mind. I can handle both. I prefer to be around more people, because I didn't like closed doors. In the dorm setting, you can't close the door. They didn't have no cell. There wasn't no bathroom in the dorm. Bathroom used to be down the hall some motherfucking where. So you can't stop us from using the bathroom. They used to try to keep us in the dorm. That was how they kind of lock it down. You know what we used to do? We used to turn the dorm into a fucking whole joint. It's one dorm had 20 people in it. It got the same spot we used to be boxing at, man. We got a poker table set up right here, spade table, chess table. It's 20 motherfuckers in here, 25 motherfuckers. We got one motherfucker making nachos over here. Then in this joint, we had HBO, Cinemax, and then everybody got TV. So the videos over here, man, they like, fuck it. They got like, we shouldn't lock it down, because they didn't like that. They looking at it like, damn, these motherfuckers ain't got no group now. You know what I'm saying? So what they started doing, they started taking our cable. But they couldn't do that shit because we was paying for it. Yeah, they taking that shit out, man. They taking that shit out your trust fund. It wasn't much, it was $1. But you take $1 from 700 motherfuckers every month. What cable bill is $700? Shit. So they was making money all across the board. So, niggas down there smart as hell. I was around some smart guys down there trying to take the fucking cable. Motherfucker put the grievance in like, we pay for that. Let us get that, please. So they stopped locking us down. They like, man, taking a group from them is not a punishment. They turned the fucking dorm into a day room. They back there got music playing. We had, man, talking about, man, it's lit. They stopped doing that shit. But it taught me how to, know what I'm saying? It taught me a lot of that shit, man. I'm telling you, all them classes with the hands-on training I had to get from just being around different men all day long, building, you know what I'm saying? Like they say, iron sharpens iron. Because when I was in the streets, man, I was a loner. I was isolated. I keep myself away from motherfuckers. I ain't like motherfuckers in my business. And how we used to grow up, man, we call it buddy hustling. Like, yo, homeboy be with you while you get money and shit. You out slide, making fades and doing your shit. Motherfucker backdoor you. Be all at your people don't crib because they been in the car with you all day. You know what I'm saying? Before you know it, they done went past their number out to your peoples. Then, my town was small. We was all fading the same motherfucker. So, this nigga might have fronted a motherfucker that's calling me now. He with me. So when I go to do my thing, they bumping heads like he trying to be confrontation with this motherfucker because he owe him some money, but he's spending it with me. Like, nah, bro, you catch him on your time. He ain't call you. And you only reason why you seeing him now is because you with me. So miss me with that shit, nigga. Y'all stop fronting their ass shit. That's why I just get one back then when I was moving. Man, if you spending money with me and you ain't got no money, I'm going to give you something. You don't owe me shit. This way, you want to avoid me when you have money because you owe me. That's how. Look, gang. Let's look. It costs money to make money. Y'all be so worried about getting every dollar, even in this society right now. Like y'all motherfuckers so greedy, man. Get that shit away sometime. Give it away. Just a little bit. Give a motherfucker a little bit sometime, man. That's why like that whole term testers and pass outs and all that shit come from. But anyway. Yeah, and that was one of the best things I could have did was taking leadership of that house unit that day, that time, man. Because like I say, I had to get up every morning and present something to that people, them group of guys, and it taught me I had to be vocal. I couldn't cuss. You know what I'm saying? I had to be polished because I got DOC and staff right there. You know what I'm saying? So I was up there very, very professional. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking nice. I represented myself well. You know what I'm saying? I had to because I took on that job. And it was a perks to that job too. Made the most money off the state side. You know, state give you money every month. For those who don't got money, you know what I'm saying? Even if you do got money, state, they gave you money in DOC where I was at. So, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a lot, but it was something I could live off of. You know what I'm saying? It helped me with my family from sending money home. So it was all type of perks, man, with that shit. You know, and that's what one of the things about prison that particular time that helped me. And then this last one, when I did that 5, I did 5 this last time, man. Fucking around the streets, same shit. This is what I was reading a lot because I did this whole bit during the pandemic. Like I was locked up when it started and when it, goddamn it, all the way up. Like, and it was scary as fuck. Did nobody know nothing? You know what I'm saying? This was the one that woke me up the most. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, damn. I could really we don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with my family, my kids. Like, this is a new disease. Don't nobody know nothing about it. And that DOC was so scared. The joint I was in, man. We was out at the southern part of Illinois, man. Like 45 minutes from Kentucky. Like, we was way down there. We was like the last joint in the state. When COVID came, man, I ain't gonna lie. I knew it was gonna be a problem when all those the old folks, old people facilities, like they was putting them bodies out of there like that. And I'm like, man, hold on, man. This shit right here is different. Trump trying to downplay that shit, man. Trust me, I've been alive a long time to know. Man, when that shit came and hit my joint, it all started from because they stopped all movement. There was no inmates coming in. Everybody that was in the county waiting on they to come to the joint. Everything was on hold. All the court system, everything. And then all those people that was in receiving NRC that I was telling y'all about in the beginning, they ass was just behind the wall, behind the door. For like, man, they didn't start back movement for like 8-9 months. Like, motherfuckers was literally like just in the joint. Only motherfuckers that left was when it was time for you to go home. They was paroling you out that bitch. But outside of that, wasn't nothing coming in. But the people that was working there, they was entitled to leave and come back. Man, one of them motherfuckers went on vacation and came back with that shit. And just so happened to be, now keep in mind, I was working in the kitchen at this time. And I'm glad I did, because like I say, I never got lost in the crowd, and I always had a leadership role. And I worked myself up in the kitchen to becoming a head cook. You know what I'm saying? For first shift. You know what I'm saying? So I was the one responsible for cooking lunch for the whole joint. Like, I went and picked out the menu. I went and pulled the meat, all that shit. And I had a group of guys that was, you know what I'm saying, that worked with me. But I was the motherfucker. I was quarterbacking that shit. I had worked myself up from just how I carry myself and building relationships with staff. Shit I don't normally do. I usually just hide out and do my bits. But for some reason, this one told me, like, nigga, get a job. Like, it's something going on in the world, because it was like, they kind of was like restricting movement anyway. And the school was a wait list for school. I had ended up getting put in construction, but it was a wait list because I'm a career criminal, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of be one of the ones that get last put on for shit. Like, they usually get that shit to the people who, like, you know what I'm saying, first timers and shit, because they want them to get the classes and get extra good time for it and get out of shit. So a kitchen job or something like that was I can get fast, or something I can get, you know what I'm saying, I know I have. Now I'm getting out my cell. Because the joint they sent me, it was one of those joints that was locked down. I think it was like I went 3 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? Some old clown ass shit. So COVID come, we gotta feed us still. So I was always out my cell because we still had to feed the joint. But everybody else was locked down. Like, they was some motherfuckers scared, man. You was getting 20 minutes out your cell a day. And then it was like every 36 hours you was getting your 20 minutes. Because if you came out at 7 o'clock that one morning, you wouldn't come out till probably like 7 o'clock the next night. So it's 24 hours plus another 12 hours. You know what I'm saying? 30 motherfuckers, man, that shit was crazy. And then you got 10 minutes. 20 minutes, really. You got 10 to use the phone and 10 to take your shower. Like, it wasn't both. Like, you ain't no 20 minutes. You got 20 minutes, baby. You break your 20 minutes. Man, that shit was crazy. That shit went on for a minute because they, you know what I'm saying? They no motherfuckers know. So, man, one of them motherfuckers came, one of the staff members came to work and ended up testing positive. And they tested everybody that worked around him. He was a food supervisor on my shifts. And if you worked in the back where the pots and pans and shit was, where the kettles and shit was, where all the cooking, with the stoves and shit, they put us all on fucking quarantine. Quarantined us. This is how they do it. They so motherfucking bold. They lock us, they take us and put us in a housing unit that they had already been prepared for this shit. They had a whole 2-3 wings of empty cells prepared for this pandemic. And we was the first motherfuckers to get put in them. Dirty ass cells. Cells ain't been cleaned since I don't know when. They had a dog program down there. And this is where they had the dogs at. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't in them cells, but they was in on that wing, that housing unit 4. Man, so they put us all in these cells by ourselves. But they don't give us none of our property. Like, they just put us in there. They gave us a cup, a bar of soap, you know what I'm saying, one of them little hygiene kits you get when you first lock up. They ain't tell us shit. They just took our shit from us. You know what I'm saying? They let the motherfuckers pack our shit out. That was one of the things I had a problem with. Like, hold on, man. Because, you know, when motherfuckers, your shit come up missing, let another inmate pack your shit. Deal. CEOs ain't finna watch it like that. But, you know what I'm saying? I lost some shit. It is what it is. But, you know, staying in that bitch for 2 weeks. 2 weeks on quarantine. I was 3 weeks. 3-week quarantine. You know what I'm saying? But during my time of quarantine, they had to hire all new people to replace us. So everybody that they hired went to work while we was gone. But the whole time they was there, When we got, let me rewind. We got tested for COVID when they locked us down. They quarantined us. One person had it. One guy tested positive. It was crazy because it was a nigga that we used to work out and shit. Cause they remember they got, keep in mind they took the weights and shit. They locked the joint down. So we used to make, man, we used to do that bitch lifting buckets, all type of shit, bags of coke, bags of flour, man. We were figuring that shit out. I had the kitchen like a fucking gym. You know, I ain't going. 100 burpees. I was figuring that shit out, man. We would turn shit into a bench. Like we had shit, lifting buckets, like whatever it took. Like we turned that bitch to a gym. And we used to work out. He was one of the guys that worked out with us, man. That nigga ended up testing positive by the grace of God. He the only one. But he took it back to his celly. His celly didn't work in the kitchen. So you got to keep in mind, they didn't only quarantine us. They quarantined our cellies too. Because they like, fuck that. Y'all was back here working. And y'all left y'all job and came back to y'all cell. Your celly might got it. So your celly, he packing his shit. Man, my celly was one of Latin folks from out west, man. This nigga was not going, man. I had to talk my homie into like, bro, you going to lose, bro. He was like, man, fuck that. He don't want to go and they was trying to take us without our shit. He didn't even work in the kitchen. He's like, man, I don't even fucking work in the kitchen. Y'all trying to take my shit. This a punishment. You know what I'm saying? It really was. It was a punishment. That's some shit. Even you go to SEG, they take your shit. Even in SEG, you get some of your property, like you get your property box with all your paperwork and letters and all that shit. We didn't get shit. They kept our shit for like 3-4 days, then they brung us our shit. And a lot of us was missing shit. But you talk about some tough time. Man, it's my first time I ever seen a motherfucker like try to commit suicide. Because people couldn't get to that phone, man. You gotta think, man. You locked, they just shut the joint down. You don't want nothing, and you was getting visits. You got your family, you touching your girl every month. Where how you do your visits? Like you up in the visiting room, you eating hot food in the vending machine. You seeing shit like you get to kiss your girl, your babies and shit. You hold your Illinois. You know what I'm saying? We got contact visits. They shut that down. Then they shut all the phone. You can't get the phone how you want to. Like motherfuckers was bitten off them phones. You know what I'm saying? Like the phone calls is cheap. Our phone calls is like a penny a minute. Yeah, so motherfuckers like, man, you know, everybody can get on the phone. At this price, before this, man, phone calls you like $8-9. That bitch went from a penny a minute. So now you can't get to the phone. Then they got this old weird ass disease out here devastating the world. And you can't get to your family, you don't know what's going on. Man, I seen a motherfucker low key, Joe, no cap. The nigga was beefing with the police already earlier that day. We was so raw with our shit. Like, I had a celly, we call a pop-out artist. Like, my celly would jam the cell. He would jam the lock on the cell. So, when the police do his count, my cell was right by a phone. Man, my celly popping that motherfucker, though, and he coming out. He getting on the phone. He ain't get no fuck. You catch him. You know what I'm saying? Like, some CEOs really didn't give a fuck. Like, once the like, man, fuck, they already was like, man, I know these guys can't get, you know what I'm saying? They like, man, Paul said, try them all. You get away with it, you get away with it, man. The hooch was at an all-time high because they still had to feed us. They bringing in fruit. They putting fruit and juice on the trays. Man, motherfuckers making hooch. I'm working in the kitchen. You know me. I'm notorious for that shit all through the county. Motherfuckers know I get the whole joint intoxicated. You feel me? I make a bad batch. You dig? I'm getting my celly drum, my celly popping out. So he didn't give a fuck. We didn't care. My celly didn't give a fuck, man. I had to get on his ass a little bit because he was getting us shook down and shit, because they'd catch him out the cell. They come take the cell down. He ain't had shit. So he ain't give a fuck. They taking all my shit. I'm like, bro, man, niggas, fuck, nigga, pop out this motherfucker cell. Yeah, fuck wrong with you, boy. Get my shit took. But anyway, though, man, that shit was tough, man. Back to the suicide part, man. So, dude, one of the guys on the second gallery, who can't get to a phone. You know what I'm saying? You can't pop out from up there. You can, but it's gonna take you too long to get to a phone. Somebody be on them bitches. Niggas be out at the time because they was letting us out for them 20 minutes. But they ain't really know who was supposed to be out. They just rolling the doors. They popping the door from the bubble. So they popping doors. Boop, boop, boop. And they be in the bubble like this. They had the police loved their job at this during the pandemic because they didn't have the police shit. Was no inmates moving around. We was in our cell, confined to our cell all day. And this particular inmate got into it with a CO about the phone. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get his shower, his phone, or somehow he didn't get his 20 minutes. And him and the CO kept going back and forth. Like, he kept, you know what I'm saying? I just kept seeing the police coming back and forth to this man's cell. So in this particular time, man, shorty ass, I don't know how. I think what ended up happening was the CO was coming up there another time to talk to him. But the officer in the bubble popped the door too soon. So when he popped the door, shorty come out the cell. He got the motherfucking sheet already around his neck. This bitch got like 9 knots in it. He got that bitch knotted. He come out the cell. He done wrapped that bitch around the bar. He on the second gallery. Now he tying a knot. The CO see him. CO tripping up the stairs and get to him. Shorty trying to get the knot and he trying to go over it. By the grace of God, they get to him. But when the CO get to him, he low-key struggling with this nigga. Like, shorty like, man, he about to take him over with him. Fuck it. Like that's like the CO was like having a hard time with this nigga, man. Luckily they get up there, most COs coming and shit. But it was just, he had that motherfucking thing on his neck so tight, like it literally like took them 30, 40 minutes just to get this motherfucker off his neck from the knots and shit. Like, man, shorty ass probably, like, this is what was going on, man. That pressure was on motherfuckers. The walls was closing in on guys down there, man. But like I say, I was a head cook. Like, I was, and you know, I ain't have to leave the ship. I could stay in the kitchen, man. I stay there all day. Goddamn, we had setups in that motherfucker where you could sleep. Like, niggas was, man, what? Stop playing. That was headquarters. The kitchen was headquarters. You know what I'm talking about? That shit prepared me, though, because what it did was it required me to do a lot of reading. And Illinois GTL came with the tablets. And on these tablets, man, you had access to any and everything, man. Like, on the book side, they just had music, man. They had download seminars, books, all that thinking, all that Napoleon Hill, the Carnegies, all that shit, bro. I read all that shit, man. They had shit on there to teach you different languages. Man, it was like the internet, but without the internet search. They kind of like had a built-in already system set up, like shit that you might want as an inmate. A lot of shit to pick from, though. You couldn't really just go on, like, they had like a search, but it was like a broad search. Like, you search up certain shit, they had something for it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was a video, whatever it was. Like, man, I took advantage of that shit, man. I kept my account full when it came to that tablet. You know what I'm saying? Because I needed that shit. I wrote a lot of my raps because they had freestyles, like instrumental beats and shit. Like, they had, man, what? I wrote so much music. Way It Up. I wrote Way It Up in the joint off of listening to. I got beats for days that I used to sit and listen to, and a lot of them on YouTube right now because they was pulling from the same GTL and all that shit. Yeah, that's a stream. Yeah, all that shit was, nigga, I was in that. I was doing my time. I wasn't letting my time do me. That shit prepared me. All that shit from the credit. I was reading credit books, real estate books, business books, my same catalog of books that I showed y'all, man. Let me show y'all. This is just my 3 that I'm reading now. But I got some heat on the book side, boy. Don't even get me started. This is the 3. These 3 right here. This is just 3 of them that I'm reading right now. That mine is master, though. Stop it, man. Man, that book, you know, that's pressure right there. And I'm still drawing from that book right now. I'm pulling from that. So, that was my experiences, man, come from prison, man. I did all that. You feel that time, excuse me, y'all. I just fuck with my phone. I hate I did all that time, but it is what it is. It made me where I am today. Because I still feel like, shit, I got everything. Y'all know my shop, y'all know headquarters, man. I got mobile. Like I tell motherfuckers, man, I ain't rich, but I ain't punching nobody clock neither, man. And I'm able to do whatever I want to, man. I'm only a phone call away from people that matter to me. You know what I'm saying? My kids and my family, like, man, I'm hands-on with my peoples and shit. But I couldn't have no, I'm blessed. You know what I'm talking about? With that 15-year loss I got. You know what I'm saying? I came out, it's like I never left this motherfucker. Like, for real. Got action, man. I got this big-ass motherfucking building. You know what I'm talking about? I do whatever the fuck I want to do. I be in the biggest room in hotels. I'm dressed nice. I got suits. I'm around some beautiful women. You know what I'm saying? I'm having, and everything. And this is the one thing I love about my life, man. Man, I'm bluntly honest about everything. I don't lie to no woman. I don't lie to people. I tell you what it is, and I give you an opportunity to make a responsible decision, man. I leave it up to you. And that's one thing I learned, man. That's the most valuable thing I learned about prison, man. Respect yourself and everything around you, and be honest. Not only with yourself, but everything. Because one thing about the truth is everlasting. The lie gonna always have to keep revising itself and keep adding to it and taking from. The truth is what it is. You dig? And a man should always be the truth. Period. That's what manhood is to me, the truth. I am what I said because I said so. If I said it, I said it. If I know what I'm saying, I did. If I said it, that's what it is. If I got to own up to it, that's all I got is my word. And you know what I'm saying? Them man principles. That's what, you know what I'm saying? That's what prison taught me, man. Mind your motherfucking business too. Shit like that, just basic shit. You know, one thing, and I never had a fight in prison. I had to show a motherfucker a few things, you know what I'm saying? But I've never had like a fight, you know what I'm saying? And that not one time, cause I carry myself a certain way, and I'm loud. I'm the same way I am now. Didn't duck no smoke, but it was about respect. It was always about respect, and I respected myself more than anything. So when I used to be having misunderstandings with people, man, that's all it was. It was a misunderstanding because motherfuckers already knew it wasn't no malicious, no malice on my part. It probably was just a misunderstanding. And I'm real diplomatic. I talk my man, bro. I say some slick shit like, man, bro, come on, man. What the fuck we look like walking around here dinged up for over this shit? You really want to go to Seg over this? Like shit like that. Like, man, motherfuckers really don't be wanting to smoke, man. Especially for motherfuckers they know they ain't scared, don't really care. However it go. Like, you know, that term, I ain't looking for no trouble. I ain't ducking it. Like, that shit be for real. Like, motherfuckers ain't ducking smoke, man. Motherfuckers trying to go home. And then we was in that joint we was in. Most of the joints I was in, man, a lot of guys was getting good time, which was smart. DOC wasn't done. They was letting them people know, like, man, you can get out early if you just sit your ass down. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I was. I was trying to get home to my peoples. You feel me? Catching tickets and getting in fights and shit, man, you gonna lose something. You gonna lose you ain't taking losses. You gonna lose shit. Man, I ain't had time to be losing shit. I'm already lost my freedom. Fuck that. I want to be able to order commissary when I want to. I want to be able to go to yard and the gym when I want to. Because we already don't have much. So me coming to prison, getting in trouble and shit, man, that shit was like, my thing in the joint, I used to get into it with the administration. Like, yeah, that's what I used to be into it with. I used to be into it with the COs and the staff and shit. Like, fuck, I'm getting into it with you for, nigga. We both wearing blue. Our uniform the same. You can't order no more than I can. Everybody got the same prices. Ain't like I can, don't give a fuck how much money you got on your books. They had a price limit. You can only buy so many boxes of oatmeal pies, my boy. You know what I'm talking about? You can only get so many bags of chips. Like, shit, so it ain't matter, shit. I had everything you could have, goddamn it. I had my girls coming to see me. I was getting my visits. It kept some money on that phone. I had my pictures. I was fresh as fuck. My box stayed full. You know what I'm talking about? I had my books. I had shit on my tablet. And I had a job. I was in that bitch employed. And I was out my cell all the time. And that's all the motherfucker asked for in the joint. That's the best you gonna get. And I had an out date. And I was not finna miss under no circumstances, man. And them the same rules I pay attention to now, man. I'm not about to sit right here and act like I'm just a saint. Nigga, it's always survival. Self-actualization is at the top of the triangle first. I don't give a fuck about none of that. I got to survive. And I ain't finna just exist out here. Because a lot of us just existing, man. Like, you ain't experiencing life. Yo, you just punch a clock and you come home. Your household miserable, man. That has to be miserable. That is not life. I refuse to live like that. So, that's one thing. That's what prison, that's what I got out of my life the 15 years I gave, man. I really can honestly say all that shit that I did in the joint, man, is paid off. My body is I'm in good shape. I was away from the streets. I lost a lot. And I got to live with that. And then one of the things I regret most is my relationship with my kids. Like that shit, because, you know what I'm saying, it's some of my kids that's older that I wish I could talk to. They be avoiding me and shit. And I'm about to grace God. I hope that they, you know what I'm saying, reach out to me one time, man. Just look, hey, understand that, man. Your daddy grew up different. Just like, you know what I'm saying, I ain't making no excuses. But, I'm still alive. And once you still alive, man, it's never too late. Because I know how I was. My daddy, man, you only get one. My daddy was, man, he was never around. But when that man died, man, I cried like a little baby. That's my daddy. You know what I'm saying? I cried like a baby. You know what I'm talking about? It is what it is. That was my. I'm looking at. That's my dude. We had our relationship was rocky, but when I got older, I understood like, damn, you know what I'm saying? This is my daddy. Like, point blank, period. Everybody fuck up. Everybody make mistakes, man. We grew up in a black community, man. And I understand that our shit is different. We operate up on some different rules and guidelines. We didn't come up with them. This is society has these stigmas and these things on us. It's easier now, but it's still pressure. It's still like, you know what I'm saying? That's what it come down to, man. I love y'all. Hope y'all live as long as y'all want to, man. Hope you have everything you want. Don't forget, man, like this video, subscribe to my channel, gogettashane 4585, Instagram, gogettashane. Y'all already know. Snapchat, gogettashane74, Facebook, O'Shane Lamar. I got music coming. Y'all see, I've got a show coming up. I'm still on the fence. We gonna talk about that. But man, I got shit going on, man. All amazing content. I'm be uploading all this content, fire content, man. I did want to say, man, this is the most important thing, y'all. I really don't be chasing subscribers like that. They gonna come. I want it to be organic. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I just found out that if I get over 50 subscribers, I can go live. That's important because going live, you'll get a notification when I'm about to go live, and then there's room for the chat. The chat open up, so anybody that's subscribed and you tap in with the live video, the flow is open. Because I kind of want to see, I want to hear the feedback, I want to see the comments, I want to hear what y'all got to say. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that be coming up to me that have seen some of my content and be like, damn, bro, you lick a slick. They don't like my approach, my tone a lot, and that's cool. But they respect the message, and I like that, man. So in order for us to get this channel popping like it need to be, let's get the subscribers in. You ain't gotta watch no video, not one. Whatever it is, just subscribe so you get a notification. Man, you might want to tap in one day, learn something, get something. Man, I got amazing content coming. And me and Linnell, y'all know about bro. So we got our little podcast. I'm about to start my another podcast. I don't want to give y'all the name yet because I'm gonna take this one and get it biz, like run it like a legit business logo. All that stuff. Y'all already know I'm wicked when it comes to that, the LLC part of it. Man, YouTube is monetized. Everything is monetized these days, y'all. Stop giving this stuff away for free. You know what I'm saying? Get everything lined up. Get your stuff and make you a channel. Get your stuff, get your brand going, build your brand. You guys, your life is interesting too. You interesting as well. Everybody got a story to tell. I'm just telling mine, man. This is the life we living today. YouTubers, everything is media driven. Everything is content creation. Get you some of that money, man. I love y'all. Y'all stay focused and stay locked in, stay purpose driven, man. Let's do it.